Lovely. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our weekly training webinar, which will be covering creating group supports and staff payments. Now, I'm just going to let some other people into the session. You will see me from time to time looking away from the screen. That's just as I navigate the multiple monitors to complete the presentation. So hopefully that all goes well today. All right, so let's jump in and we'll just start with some housekeeping. So any questions that you have, whether that be processes, features, difficulties that you're having or things that don't make sense, we'll take turns asking these questions using the raise hand function in Google Meet or through the chat. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the user guide. And if for some reason I don't know the answer, I will find out and I'll email you after the session as well. Alrighty. So to use the raise your hand function, simply click on the hand icon down the bottom of Google Meet as seen in the image highlighted in orange. That will enable me to see that you've raised your hand to ask a question. Now you can click on that button again to lower your hand if you no longer need to ask the question, or when you start speaking, Google will lower that hand for you automatically. We do also have the chat option. So if you don't want to ask the question over the call, you can ask that in the chat instead. You'll see that down the bottom right-hand side of the screen. It looks like a little messaging icon. Simply click on that and you'll be able to ask your questions there. And I'll have this open throughout the session. So any questions that do get asked, I'll be able to respond to there when time permits. Upcoming dates for our sessions. So obviously today we're covering creating group supports and staff payments. Next week will be an Ask Me Anything session. So we encourage you to come along with as many questions as you have, whether that be on how to use the software or anything that's not making sense to you. And we'll be able to cover that during that session. And then the 28th of April for our final session for this month, we'll be covering the new features that have been released. And there is quite a lot to cover. So I definitely encourage you all to join for that session to see what our engineers have been working on. Alrighty, so I might just jump into sharing a different tab now. So like I said, we're going to be covering group supports and staff payments. We'll start the session with group supports. So I will be looking away just as I cover my notes on this session. Beautiful. Okay, so to access our scheduling and to create a group support, we're going to navigate to scheduling in the main menu. And I'll just make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. So to create a support, we're going to click on add a shift here. So we've got a few different options for supports that we can create. We have direct support, where you are providing support to a single participant, group support, where you are providing support to multiple participants, shifts, which is for internal activities or non-support related activities, and unpaid breaks. For our group supports, we're going to select the group support option at the top here. You'll then be able to set your start time and date. So for this group support that we're going to create, we're going to select this Friday, and we're going to say that it starts at 9 a.m. and we'll go through for 3 hours for this particular support and click select. Now you also have the option to repeat this group support. You'll have the ability to set this through to 12 months from the date of creation. So if we wanted to do that, we would simply select the 1 year option here, or we can select from presets for 1 month or 6 months, or you can toggle through the calendar to select the preferred end date. So in this instance, let's select 6 months. And we're going to run this group support every Friday for that 6 months. The next step will be to assign the group support type. So from this drop-down box, we're going to select group support or whatever works for your organization. And then we're going to add a group support name. So this might be a bowling group, for example. We'll set our default charge item set because we're going to set this support up with automatic charges. That's going to make it much easier for us with managing the charges out to our participants, because Astalty will automatically apportion those charges across all participants, as well as making it easier when it comes time for processing timesheet batches. So let's go ahead and select group activities. And we're going to add in an address for this group support to occur and create address. Now we have the option of creating unassigned shifts. So if we know that we're going to need a couple of support workers, but we don't know who we're going to assign that to just yet, you can click into this box and then enter the number of shifts or the number of support workers that are going to be required for that support. In this example, we're going to assign this to specific support workers. So we'll click on the No Support Workers Selected option here, and we're going to select the support workers that are going to be providing this support. Now, I'm just double checking my notes here. We're going to select Alexander and we're going to select Leanne. We can close out of this now and we'll see that Alexander and Leanne have been added as the support workers for this shift. Now, we also want to select our participants. If you did, for example, have a shift that was going to extend beyond, say, 7 or 8 hours and you needed to include a paid meal break in there, you can also select this option here to include that meal break. Because we've only got a 3-hour shift, we're not going to select that option. We're going to click on the No Participants Selected icon here, and we're going to choose 4 participants who are going to take part in this support for this example. So we'll have Adela, Alison, Berenice, and Bridie. And now we'll close out of here. So we can now see that all 4 of those participants have been captured within this support as we're creating. We also have the option to select the support worker who's going to be working with them. This is where that apportioning of charges through the automatic charge process is really helpful. So we might know that Alexander is going to support Adela because she needs a little bit more support than the other members of this group. And Leanne is going to support everybody else. Now, in this instance, these participants already have a service in their NDIS plan page for group activities and this particular charge item set that we have created here. If they didn't, you would be able to add that from this page as well, allowing you to select a service and add that to the participant's plan directly from this page. We'll scroll down now, and we also have the ability to add in shift tasks as well. And now I believe this is still in beta. So if you're not seeing this in your scheduling page, reach out to our team via support@astalty.com.au or through the support button at the top of your Astalty browser, and we'll be happy to switch that on for you for your feedback. So we'll go ahead and we're going to add a task. And this might be something like support participants to purchase tickets. And we can select an individual participant that this particular task relates to, or we can leave this field blank and it becomes a task that's related to every participant within the group. You also have the ability to make this mandatory or optional. By making it mandatory, it will be required that before the support worker clocks out of their support or their shift, that they'll need to mark that support item or that task item as complete or give a reason as to why they were not able to complete the task. We'll scroll down now to our group travel. Now we may have travel to and from this support as well as during. We'll go ahead and we'll add some travel in here. Now you have the ability to select a dedicated driver. So in this instance, perhaps Leanne has transported Alison, Berenice and Bridie to this event. So we'll select and we'll select the participants that were traveling in the car with Leanne. So we have Alison, Berenice, and Bridie. Now there might have been, say, 15 kilometres travelled and it might have been a 10-minute trip. So we'll add those details in here. The support worker will be able to confirm the amount of kilometres and time that they've spent on that shift by navigating into their app and completing those details when that shift commences. Now, we might also want to add some travel during the support, and Leanne might be transporting all the participants. So we can select everyone. And there might be 15 minutes of travel time. Now, in this instance, we're going to say that the participants, are being picked up from the event by somebody else, whether that's a family member or another carer. So we'll leave that option out. But if you did need to add in travel from, you can simply select the add travel icon, enter your details for travel from support, and that will be captured in the shift as well. We'll just remove that one for now. And then you'll need to add in some information in the group support details. For the purposes of this example, I'll just add example, but this would normally be where you add some information about what is going to be carried out during this shift so your support workers can see that information. Now, our charge options, like I said earlier, we're going to use automatic charges. This is going to help us with the appropriate apportioning of the charge items that are used within this charge item set to make sure that billing reflects accurately about who has been supported and what that ratio should be. So we can also add in additional charges if need be, and these would then be manual charges. You can simply click on add an additional charge here, and you can select from charge items that exist within your participants' services. We won't do that this time, but we do have more information on this in the user guide, which I will share in the recording or the upload of the recording after the session. Okay, let's cancel out of that one, and we can go ahead and create this support. Now, remembering that this is going to be a recurring support that's going to go on for 6 months. Just having a little bit of a delay with our demo account. So I'm just going to refresh and hopefully that has saved. Sorry for the technical difficulties here, guys. Okay, it doesn't look like it has saved. This is a risk with our demo account, but rest assured in your live versions of Astalty, when you're creating those supports, these will update in your schedule and you'll be able to access and make changes to those as necessary. We do have some other group supports that have been entered prior to this session, which we can use to provide some more details on the available functions for group supports. So what we'll do now is we'll go down to a group support for community access, and we can see here that we have 3 participants that have been added to this group support. Now, within each of those participants' details, you'll be able to see how their finance is being apportioned based on the automatic charges that have been added to this support. So we can see here that the overall support details show that we have an automatic charge behavior. When we scroll down, we can see that we have the group activities, which is split at a 1:3 ratio, but we can see here that travel has actually been apportioned at a 1:2 ratio. Now that's identified by heading up here and clicking on our travel icon. And we can see here that 2 of the travel components only had 2 participants in the vehicle at a time. So Astalty is automatically calculating and applying the relevant ratio based on the number of participants who are engaged in that part of the support. This just helps to streamline that process for your scheduling team and ensure that your billing is correct for your participants. Now you can also add additional details to this support. So for example, if we wanted to add a note that covered every participant, we have the ability to come in here and add that note from here. If you wanted to add a note for an individual participant, you would simply select them from the left-hand menu, click on Notes, and add a note here. Now, if for some reason you didn't have any support workers assigned when you created the support, as I mentioned, was available, and you can check the box to say that you're creating an unassigned shift, you'll see here that no support worker has actually been assigned to Aileen. So what we can do here is click on Actions for Aileen, and we can assign a support worker. Now, we know that Chad has actually been assigned to this shift, but he hasn't been assigned to each individual participant as yet. So we'll simply click on Assign Support Worker, and the drop-down box will only give us the selections of support workers who have been assigned to this support. So we'll go ahead and select Chad, and now Chad will appear as the support worker for Aileen. We can go ahead and do the same for everyone else within this support. And Chad is now the listed support worker for everyone within this group support. Okay, so if we needed to add an additional finance charge, we can do that from within the participant's finance page. Now, just bear in mind that any charges that you add from this point on would be considered a manual charge if they're isolated to one participant. So that is just something to keep in mind. And again, as I mentioned, I'll include some information on managing manual charges with the upload that goes up onto our training guide. But I encourage you all to have a look at how that works. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll just stick to the automatic charges for now. Okay, so let's now go to how we clone a shift. So In this example here, we have got a group support for community access that occurs every Tuesday from 10 until 2. We've now decided that this support is it's having great success, and we want to repeat this event on Thursdays as well. So we can click into this support and click on actions and then clone the group support. By cloning the group support, we will then be able to create a new series of events. We'll simply change the start time and date, let's say Thursday, and select. Astalty will automatically update the end time to match the hours that this support had been created for. And we can go ahead and repeat this group as well. We must have an end date, so it is prompting us to add that information in. And then we can go ahead and create this support. You will notice that all of the information relating to this support is identical to what was in the previous support as well. So you'll see that the address is the same, the charge items are the same, the support worker, participants, and allocations are all the same. And we can also see that travel has been included here as well. So this is a great way to duplicate your supports if they are doing really well and you want to increase the number of sessions that your participants are able to access. We can go ahead and click create. And it looks like demo is not going to work for me again. I'm so sorry, guys. But effectively, that will create all of your new supports for you under that new date range as well. Now, you can also add your group supports retroactively. So if for any reason you've had a support that's been carried out yesterday, for example, and you need to add that into your schedule, you do have the ability to do that as well. So we can add a shift and we would just select the previous date and apply the information exactly as we did for the shift that was coming up in the future. Make sure to publish so that you can capture the information from the support worker, allowing them to track case notes, kilometers, etc. And then you can go through the process of your shift approvals as you would normally for any of your other shifts as well. Now, if you do need to make changes to a group support, you can navigate into the support and click on the Update Details button here. This allows you to change the group support name, the type of the support, the start and finish times, add any additional group support details or admin information before clicking on Update to save those changes. You can also unassign a support worker from the shift as well. You will need to click on the 3 dots next to them and unassign support worker, add a reason for that unassignment, and then confirm. That would then push this particular group support back into our unassigned shifts menu, where you can then assign a new support worker to that shift. Okay, just checking my notes to see if there's anything else that I should be covering. You can also navigate to the participant's profile from within these supports as well. So if for any reason you needed to make a change to the participant's details, you can simply select them from the list down the left-hand side here, and you'll see an arrow that on hover lights up when you click next to their name. That will direct you to their profile to make any changes as necessary there as well. All right. Now, just for some additional information on the shift details for the support worker, by clicking on the 3 dots here, you also have the ability to add a break if necessary, to clock in on their behalf. And this may be that they've left their phone at home or it's gone flat, or for whatever reason that they're not able to clock in themselves. You can unassign the support worker. You can also contact the support worker as well. So this will provide you with contact details on the screen. If you have an integration with a phone application on your device, it will allow you to potentially connect in and call directly from your screen. You can unpublish the shift, and you can also view approval details. So in this instance, you would be looking at this if you've already approved the shift or you want to navigate to approving the shift and the support worker has already clocked in and out of that support. You can also make changes to travel after the fact. So by coming up to the top here and clicking on travel, you can update group travel simply by clicking on the tab here. That will allow you to override. We may say that this support actually requires 20 kilometers during that support, so we can update that here. And that will now be reflected within here and also in the support workers app as well. You can also add participants to a shift after the fact. So in this instance, let's go back to a previous support. Now, so long as it hasn't been invoiced, you'll be able to add additional participants. So we can simply click on the Add Participant button here, select from the drop-down menu, and we might choose Aileen. We'll assign a support worker and a relevant charge item set. Now we can see here that we don't actually have a relevant charge item set allocated to this participant, so we can create a new plan service, assuming that there is funding to do so. This might be for group activities. We'll say that they're plan managed, and we'll just put in a nominal fee for the moment. And we will select our group activities from the charge item sets here and create. And that's now applied to this participant and will be accessible through their profile as well. So we'll add this participant to the group just for this session. And now Aileen is showing up down here as well. This will also apportion the charges across all of these participants. So it was previously at a 1:6 ratio. It's now showing at a 1:7. So all of those charges have been apportioned equally amongst all of those participants. All righty. I think that just about covers everything for group supports. Does anyone have any questions at this stage they'd like me to answer? No? Lovely. If you do have any other questions, feel free to add them to the chat and I will review those as the session goes on. But what we might do now is move into having a look at staff payments. Now, staff payments is something that has been developed to support those users who have contractors on their team, particularly for like your support coordinators who may be contractors. This feature allows you to capture their hours within Astalty, apply a payment rate to those charges that they are billing out, and then Astalty will calculate what you will be paying that contractor, all from within Astalty itself. This eliminates the need for your contractors to send work to you because this is all managed in-house with Astalty. So let's jump into setting this up. We'll go to settings and we'll scroll down to optional features. Now within optional features, you'll see that you have several options to select from. We have scheduling, staff payments, and participant duplication. To enable staff payments, you'll simply click on the option here, which will show enable if you haven't got this feature switched on, and that will turn that feature on and make all of those components accessible for you. So the next step will be to set up how your staff payments works for your organization. So we'll navigate to staff payments in the submenu here. And you'll need to add in your ABA file details. So this is your bank information. And you'll simply click on edit to add this information in, select your financial institution and add the description that's going to be displayed on your bank statement. It's also helpful to note that there is a limitation for characters in the account name and the description field. I think it's 15 characters. So you can see here how we have omitted a space between these two words just to make sure that everything fits within that character limitation, which is set by the banks. We'll close out of here now. All right, the next thing we're going to do is make sure that we have our contractors set up correctly. So to do that, let's navigate to our users tab here. And Lulu is a contractor of ours, so we'll click into this here. Also, none of the information that you're seeing here is real. This is all fictitious data. So no participant information is out here during the session. So for Lulu, we're going to scroll down to, click on edit in the top right-hand corner. And we need to make sure that the employment type has been set to contractor, which we've already done here. You'll also have the option to select from employee. But in this case, we're going to select contractor and update user. Now, we also want to make sure that Lulu's financial information has been captured. So we'll click on the Finance tab in the submenu. And from within here, we can add Lulu's bank details, and we can also add other financial information. So if they are registered for GST, this is where you can add that information, and Astalty will capture that as it generates that payment request for them to make sure that that GST is being captured for them as well. We'll close out of here for now. The next thing we need to do is set up our payment rates. So we'll go back to settings and we'll go to charge items. Now, our payment rates are allocated against a charge item rather than against the contractor themselves. This is something that our engineering team are working on, where we will still have that default payment rate applied to the charge item, but you will also have in the future the ability to assign a dedicated payment rate to an individual contractor. So this will allow for those times where you may have a contractor on your team who is being paid at a higher rate than the rest, and will ensure that no matter which participant they are supporting, that they do get paid the correct rate. For example purposes, we're just going to assume that we have the one payment rate across all of our contractor base. So what we'll do is manage our payment rates. You can see here that we have support coordination level 2 and level 3. So let's go to manage payment rates. Against these charge items, so our SC level 2, our SC level 3, and the corresponding kilometres, we can see that a payment rate has been applied. So this is the amount that the contractor is going to get paid per hour based on the information that you have added to Astalty. So to do that, you'll click on the 3 dots next to the payment rate and update rate. You also have the option to select from fixed amount or a percentage of price. In this instance, we'll leave it as fixed amount and we'll say $65 is the amount that the contractors will be paid for their services, and update. It's important to note that that doesn't appear on the invoices to the participant. So all they will be seeing is the charge item price as expected. This payment rate is managed on the back end and is communicated to the contractor via their payments report. So the same process applies for all of the other charge items that we are going to have a payment rate assigned to. We'll click on the 3 dots next to the charge item, click on update rate, and add in the relevant payment rate that the contractors will receive. So these charge items will then need to be applied to your participants' profiles. So let's go and have a look at some of Lulu's participants. We'll filter the results here to a team member, just makes it a little bit easier to see who Lulu is supporting. And from within these, from within this page now, we can access each of the participants that Lulu is assisting. So let's have a look at George's profile, for example. When we scroll down to NDIS plan, we can see that level 2 support coordination has been included here, and Lulu is our service coordinator. So for any tasks that Lulu carries out for George, that payment rate that we apply to the SC level 2 charge item will be at $65. Alrighty, so let's move on to how we actually process a staff payment batch. So the first step is to process your invoice batches. Staff payments will only work once an invoice batch has been processed and the invoices have been submitted to the participant, NDIA, whoever. You don't need to have received the payment in order for the staff payment batch to work, but we do need to process the invoice batch itself. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll create a batch and we'll go from the 13th through to today. Perfect. And we'll actually adjust that and capture charges from prior to the 13th, sorry. And we've also got the option now as well, where if we wanted to, we could filter these results down to a task owner, for example. So if we just wanted Lulu's tasks to be included in this invoice batch, we can do that. Otherwise, you go ahead as normal. If you've got multiple contractors and you want to bill out for all of the services you carried out during this period of time, you can certainly go ahead and process those invoice batches as normal. Astalty will automatically calculate the required payment rates based on the participants' charge items. So let's go ahead and generate our draft batch. And if we have any issues here, I might just stop sharing for a second and just see if I can resolve this issue. Just bear with me. Sorry, guys. Just a slight technical difficulty. Okay, we might need to use a previous invoice batch. It looks like we're having some problems with demo not picking up. Oh, no, here we go. It is working. So I will just share this screen again now. Thank you for your patience with that. Okay. Can everyone see that okay again? Awesome. Okay. So we can see here that we have a couple of incomplete shifts. So we want to make sure that those are being excluded from the batch. So I'm going to click on those and I'm going to exclude them because I know that they haven't been finalized yet. So I'll exclude those for now. And then we will, sorry, it looks like we are having some more technical difficulties. I'm not too sure what is causing this error. What we might do is just jump back out to a previous invoice batch. We can see here we have one that was generated earlier, and we've covered several charges in here as well. And we've got one of our participants, Bridie, who is a participant of Lulu. Hopefully we should be all right to process our staff payment batch. So the next step will be to click on staff payments in the sub menu. And from here, we'll click on create batch. Now we can see here that Lulu is captured in this report here based on the invoices that have been generated in that previous invoice batch. So we can go ahead and click generate draft batch, and we'll make our payment run from the 13th to the 14th, which is the dates that were selected above, and apply. Our next step is to calculate the batch rates. So we'll click on this option here and confirm. Now, while it's calculating, you may need to refresh your screen just to display the calculated value. We'll now click into the staff payment batch, just as you would for your invoice batches. And we can see here that Lulu has $169 of payment going to her for the supports that she's provided. So we'll scroll down and we can see that breakdown for the level 2 supports. And we also have the ability to view the corresponding task related to that charge as well. So you can see what the calculation rate is, $65, the total charge that's going out to the participant or has been invoiced to the participant, and what the payment amount is reflective based on these values here. Once you're happy with all of this information, you can go ahead and finalize that batch. Okay, we can now see that that has finalized up here. Our next step is to click on Actions, and we can download the ABA payment file. Now, when we do this, we need to select the date that the payment will occur. This is for the ABA file to upload successfully and process that payment within your batch. But this is also important to mark as paid in this box here. By selecting this option, it then displays this payment within the staff member's My Payments report. So we'll go ahead and mark that as confirmed. And you will then receive a download for that ABA file in the downloads folder of your device's file explorer. But what we'll do here is we're actually going to log out and we're going to have a look at what this report looks like to our staff member or our contractor. So I'll just log out of here and we'll log in as the manager. So this is Lulu's account down here, we can see. And now we're going to go to reports. Now, we want to go to Finance and My Payments. So if they've got finance permissions turned on, they may be able to see, or they will be able to see, other reports that contain finance information. If they don't have that permission turned on, the only report they'll be able to see will be their My Payments report. If that's not the case, let us know. We can certainly have a look into that. But click on My Payments, and we can see here that a pay run has been processed for the 13th to the 14th, which is the one that we've just finalized and uploaded the ABA file for. We'll click into this report, and we can see here that we have a breakdown of those supports that were carried out during that pay period. We can also see the total amount that has been processed and paid to our account. And then we also have the option of clicking on Actions here and exporting as a PDF or downloading an invoice. We'll click on Export as a PDF, and we might exclude the participant information for this example. And I will just open that one up. And that will show that payment information here as well. This may be helpful for your contractors if they're needing to provide validation of how many hours of work they are performing every week. This might be for if they're needing to get a loan at the bank, for example. But this information just helps to provide that level of detail for them as well. Now, I will just go back, we'll log out of Lulu's profile, and we'll have a look at how this appears for our administrative team. So when we go down to our reports and we go to Finance, we can have a look at our staff payments report here. This shows us a breakdown based on the date range, what supports have been paid out, and the rate that has been applied, or the revenue that has been applied for that staff payment report. You do also have the ability to conduct an export for staff payments, which provides a little bit more information. And you'll do that by navigating to exports in your main menu and clicking on create export. And from here, you can search for staff payments and select the date range that's relevant. And then you can download this. Again, this will come through to the exports page to download. Once you've hit on download, it will then appear in the downloads folder of your file explorer. So that just provides a little bit more information and oversight as to what has been paid out. But you'll be able to see more information on this in the user guides that will be added to the recording once that goes up online as well. Alrighty, so there is also an additional feature that can be turned on within your account, which is for the bills to arrive in Xero. So what this does is provides you with an export that you can, and I might be able to show you, let me just jump back into finance here, into our staff payments. And then we have the option to download Xero Bills CSV. So this allows you to upload the data that you've captured within this staff payment batch and apply that in your Xero account, allowing those bills to generate for you so that you can mark the payments that you have processed automatically, effectively within Xero as well. So that's an optional feature. If you do want that feature enabled, just reach out to our support team and we will be happy to support you with that as well. Does anyone have any questions at this stage that I can answer for you? Awesome. I will take silence to mean that I've covered that relatively well. So if you do have any questions you don't want to ask during the session on either the staff payment batches or group supports, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. You can send us an email at support@astalty.com.au or click on the support button at the top of your Astalty browser, which you'll find up here next to your main menu. Alrighty, let's have another look at something else that has been released recently. So schedule tasks. This is something that we covered briefly during the group support session where we added tasks for the participants within that session. So let's jump in and have a look at just what we can do with a individual support as well. So let's jump back into scheduling. And we'll open up a support for one of our participants here. When we scroll down, we have the ability to add tasks after the fact. So if we've created the support and realized that we need to add an additional task, we can simply navigate to tasks and update tasks. You might need to change one that's already been added. You might want to change it from optional to mandatory, or you might need to add in an additional task as well. You can simply do that by adding that information in here, selecting the relevant requirement level, and add that task to the list. So this might be assist with meal prep and update. And that task will now appear here as well. Now, if a task has not been completed, you will get a notification here where that task is mandatory. So if this is an event that's happening in the future, for example, as this one starts at 4 p.m. today, we can see that this mandatory task obviously hasn't been completed yet because the support hasn't commenced. Once it has been completed, however, then those tasks will update here and you'll be able to see any relevant information from there. We do also have in our reports a support tasks report, which shows you any tasks that have not been completed. You can also set this by status as well. So if you wanted to just review your completed tasks, you can navigate to the completed option here. You can click into this support to review more details. And you can see that that task has been completed there as well. We'll close out of that one for the moment and we'll go back to not completed. Let's see if we can see some others here. We have a note that's been applied. So where I mentioned earlier for your mandatory tasks, your staff will have the option to either complete that task or give an exception as to why they were unable to complete that. So we can see here that Jack was unable to complete this task because of time constraints during the session. So you'll see there the details that they provide from the app displayed in this report as well. So that's just a helpful little feature. It certainly makes life a little bit easier for your support workers with knowing what tasks need to be carried out during a support. Historically, that information has been added in the shift details section, but this just provides a little bit easier oversight for your staff to make sure that they have the relevant information in an easily accessible location. All right, I will now share a different tab here. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask, whether that's anything we've covered today or any other questions that you have around using Astalty, any errors that you might be experiencing? If you want to ask those questions, do so now. Yes, Suleiman, you can go ahead and ask your question. Looks like you've got mute on at the moment.
Hello.
Oh, hi, there you are. How are you going?
Yeah, I've just pasted my question here in the text, so you can answer there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fantastic, thanks. So if there is a recurring shift and travel wasn't added when it was created, can we add it afterwards and apply it to all the shifts? Let's jump in and have a look at that. So we'll share this tab instead. And if we're going to make a change to a group support, let's jump in here and go to travel. Actually, let's jump into a different one, sorry. Okay, so we're going to update the group travel on this one, and we're going to add some travel during the support. We'll select all of the participants. We're assuming that Hazel has a minivan that can accommodate all of these participants. We'll add in that there's going to be 20 kilometres here. And when we click on update, we'll have the option to update the travel for all future group supports in this schedule as well, ensuring that that same data is captured across the board as well. So you'd simply click on that option and then click on update, and all future supports will show that new travel during as well. No travel kilometres have been set. Let me just see what that said again. Sorry, that pop-up just disappeared. Okay, so that's just the charge item set itself is not suitable for this type of support. But if you had a group support, for example, that does include the travel during charge item, then that would work for you. Same process exactly for that. So yes, that's how you would manage that group travel scenario where you need to add additional travel after the fact. I hope that helps. Any other questions? Oh, sorry. Does this work for a single support as well? Yes. Yeah. So anytime you make a change to a recurring support like that, you have the option to then apply that to all future supports as well. Cool. Any other questions? Sandra, yes, you've got a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm trying to add a new user to Astalty. I've tried many, many times, and it's telling me that her email address is invalid.
Okay.
Let me proceed.
Yeah, if it's showing as invalid, the likely cause is that there might be a space at the end of the email address. So are you copying the email address from somewhere to paste in?
It.
Okay. But you're getting an invalid error rather than a duplication error.
Many, many times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I still get the same.
Yeah. What I might get you to do is send in a support request to our team. If you can send a screenshot of what's happening when you are trying to add the user, a video screenshot would be even better if you can. You can use your preferred screenshot tool, or systems like Awesome Screenshot are really good for that. Send that through to our team and we can have a look. It may possibly be that that email address has been used elsewhere within Astalty, but we'll be able to investigate a little bit further and then let you know what is causing that issue to occur.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that.
Awesome. No problems at all. Any other questions? We've probably got time for one more question. Yeah, go ahead, Suleiman.
Yeah, so my question is that it's possible that we have like more than one participant for a single representative. So like for a mother, they have one or two childs with us. So sometimes the mother is using the single same email for both of them. So we're having a duplication issue here. So is there any, so we are unable to, we're only able to edit for one, but not for another participant. So is there any way or anything that we can edit for both of them? Because sometimes we need it.
Yeah, of course, yes. So that is a limitation within Astalty to protect from duplications of emails. So what we suggest in an instance where you have two children who have the same primary contact, we'll go in and we'll have a look at a participant's profile. What we would get you to do is remove the contact information from this part here of the participant details. And instead, we would get you to create a contact within the participant's directory profile here. So you click into directory, add the mum's details as a contact, and then you would set her as the primary contact for the participant. So you click into the relationship, and then from here, you'll be able to select primary contact, and then just make sure that they're starred. By doing that, you'll then see the primary contact details appearing here, and that allows you to assign that contact to multiple participants. That would be our workaround for that one. If you'd like, we can send you a video guide on how to manage that. We'll just get you to send us through a request to support@astalty.com.au, and one of our support team will send you through that relevant information to support that process.
Thank you, Kim. Yeah, it does really solve my issue. No, thank you for that. But I actually know how to add the primary contact and how to assign it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problems at all. If you do have any other questions, just add those to the support request and we'll be happy to address those further for you. If there's a particular participant issue that you're experiencing, just add that information in and we'll be happy to explore that further for you.
Well, for now, all good from my side. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. No worries at all. All right. Well, we might just finish up for today then. I'll just share this tab here. So if you have any questions, ideas, or want to continue the conversation outside of this session, please feel free to reach out to us at support@astalty.com.au. or click on the support button at the top of the Astalty browser and one of our friendly team will get back to you quite quickly. We do have an average turnaround time of under 40 minutes at the moment. So definitely send through your request to us and we will do our best to respond to you as quickly as we can. If you are on LinkedIn, you can scan the QR code here to connect in with Kian. Kian does post regular updates to his LinkedIn profile. So if you're looking to stay in touch with what's happening within the Astalty landscape, definitely join or follow Kian on LinkedIn and you'll be able to see those updates as he posts those. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined us today. I hope you found this session to be helpful. We'll make sure to have this posted up on our training page online, hopefully by the end of tomorrow. And like I said, we'll include those guides just to help provide reference to the information that you've received today. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you later.
Thanks. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.